Hey, what's happening, brother?
Nada. Hey, I got you on Skype here on a live show real quick. I'm sorry to bother you, but I just want to get your. I know you probably did a video. I didn't check your channel today, but what's going on? They did not raise rates, and they're going to see two interest rate hikes in 2023. What the heck is going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, you know how it goes. I mean, the Federal Reserve is using credible threats. They're trying to condition the markets, and that's ultimately what's happening here. Nothing. They're not going to do anything. That's they're just going to give out the word that there's going to be some interest rate hikes here in a couple of years, and they're trying to condition the markets to get ready for it. Now, I mean, I don't know how much you're looking to go into talking about it, but when it comes to these interest rate hikes, right now you can see that there's already the shift in the markets taking place, or the shift in the monetary policy. There's a shift taking place inside of you know everything. I mean, it's all happening. And if you go and watch what's going on in China, it's going to really be foretelling what's going to take place here in the United States. They're tightening up their policies, and it's really starting to have the effects on the defaults of corporations, the what can I say? The um, speculation money. They're starting to tighten up on that. They're kicking the miners out for Bitcoin. They're kicking the money markets or not the money markets, but the investment managers of funds who are shady. They're cracking down on them. So it's all taking place now, and you can see what's taking place there is going to start taking place in the United States as well.
Several indictments have been passed around. A couple of people called out. Uh, but what about this is Uneducated Economist, guys. He just came on last second to talk to us here, and I appreciate him coming on just last second to share some of his knowledge. So let's get Frank here. What's going to happen with a lot of people are concerned about the metal markets. We've been on the back burner with the metal markets for the spoofing, the short fills and all this BS that's been happening. Are we going to start to see more indictments instead of one guy getting arrested at JP Morgan? Are we going to start to see them actually allowing things to proportionately go where they should be going, especially in the metal markets?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you have somebody else on the phone as well? Because you said Frank.
What's that?
I was wondering if you had somebody else on the phone as well, because you said Frank.
No, it's just me and you.
Just me, right on. Yeah, when it comes to these metal markets, I've been following them for so long that when I start hearing like the buzz about like how they're going to start cracking down on the manipulators and stuff like that, I'll believe it when I see it. Right now the market is so manipulated. It's so unrealistic from where it is to where it should be. I just personally, I kind of like it where it's at. I like silver being down. I want to buy it as much as I can while it's down. And if it was to be at its real price, it would be far beyond something that most of us could afford. So to be honest with you, I take it as a gift. I really don't want to see silver reach its potential. So, I mean, I used to have an idea about silver where I would think that I was going to make a lot of money off of it or something like that. Now I just use it as an insurance policy. I use it as my savings. So to be honest with you, I don't when I see like the exciting news comes out about silver, I have a tendency to kind of back away from it and wait for the smoke to clear to see what really happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, because of the problem is the amount of tonnage of silver above ground does not meet the certificates or the volume or the derivatives that are out there floating around hyperspace or all over wherever it's at through our ionosphere. Nothing. There's more silver out there. There's more paper out there than there is silver above ground, and people are starting to call in for physical. And there was a friend of mine in where was he, North Dakota. He tried to call into his bank to buy to pick up his physical silver, and they're having a tough time giving him his physical silver, and he's got a lot of it too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know I talk with my dealer here locally, the coin dealer, and I'm one of the first on his list when he gets new product in. And I remember, gosh, it had to have been last week, the middle of last week. He had sent me a message. He said, "Hey man, I'm getting my 10-ounce bars in, gonna be in tomorrow morning. Do you want one too? What do you want?" And I told him, I said, "Hey man, let me think about it. I'm a little short on, cash this week. Let me see what I can do. I don't know if I can do a 10-ounce bar. I called him up later on that afternoon. The next day, they were gone. Right? He had brought in, I think he said there was 30 bars that had come in. They all went. And we're in a small town in Astoria, so the demand for the silver is off the charts. I've never seen like in all the times I've collected silver, have I seen so many people so excited about silver. So that is something to kind of watch and pay attention to. But I honestly, if this is like the big move in silver, like where you see like it reach up into like the hundreds of dollars and stuff, I don't think we're quite there yet. When I start seeing like the people who are around me who typically what I would think would go away from silver or not be into silver start coming to me talking to me about silver, then I might be a little bit more excited about trying to reach it up and as far as getting into higher prices and stuff like that. But as far as right now goes, I'm just I just still buy it as a savings, as an insurance policy. And the 100-to-1 ratio as far as paper to one, it's been that way for a long time. And whether or not the amount of people who are going to cash out all their paper silver, those their silver ETFs, and start buying physical with it, most people who buy into those paper silvers really didn't want the physical to begin with. So I doubt they're going to sell off the paper and go into silver. They're probably going to sell off the paper and go into something else.
Okay, that's good. That's a good. Okay, now 11 million people in rental crisis right now in the United States, and the next 3 days or 4 days, a lot of people are going to be facing a lot of hardships. Apparently.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I'm trying to find the locals here. I want to know. I mean, I want to. You hear the news, but then you want to see it. You don't. I mean, I don't want to see it, but then I want to see I want to confirm it with my own eyes, what's happening here. And so I went to my buddy Ozark, who is in charge of the Filling Empty Bellies, kind of like they're like the local soup kitchen. They serve a lunch every day. And I asked him, I said, because he deals with a lot of the people on the street. I said, hey, man, how are things looking out there? And this dude is nervous. He says, hey, man, we are going to have to deal with a lot of evictions coming up. We're not sure on, how many people know what services may be available out there. So they're getting prepared to help these families who they know are going to be running into this eviction that's coming up. So it's the real deal. It's starting to happen here. I've heard about some vouchers that they're going to give out to a lot of these people, at least for the state of Oregon, to try and help them, stay in these homes. But ultimately, the wave of eviction looks like it's going to start. And who knows what that's going to do to everything. I mean, yeah, again, this is one of those things that until you actually see it, it's going to be hard to say what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is cracking down hard, and it looks like the forbearance or the money was extended. It ends this month, right?
I believe it does. Yeah.
Yeah, it ends
I
this.
mean, yeah, I think there is some there's some local governments that are trying to help extend some of the things that are like the federal government is ending.
Good afternoon.
So there may be like pockets of help out there for some people, but yeah, for the most part, the majority, it's starting to this is it. This is the stimulus part is now ending, and they're going to have to go off on their own and figure out what it is they can do.
I got you. I got a video playing in the background of you talking here with your blue dice here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just got that video playing in the background while you're talking, so people could see. A lot of people in the comments are asking who it is, and it's Uneducated Economist, folks. And he came on. He just came online last second just to say hi.
Yeah, what's happening, Mike? Man, I'll always give you time, man. If I can, I will always talk to you, bro.
People are calling you the lumber man. So what's lumber? What's going on with lumber? Can you update us on lumber?
Yeah, let's talk about lumber. Lumber's coming down, man. Lumber's starting to crash. It's down, I forget what, 40% or something like that from its peak of $17.50 per thousand. Mm-hmm. So, for you listeners there, I don't know how many are following lumber futures, but it's a pretty big topic right now as far as going into the new home building industry and stuff. But lumber futures have just skyrocketed over the course of the last year, and they're really starting to come down now, but the damage that has been done is really starting to expose itself. You're going to start hearing a lot more. I was listening to, I think it was on CNBC this morning or something, but they were talking about some of the effects that this high lumber prices has done to a lot of these builders out there. And I mean, we're talking like projects that are just started that they can't finish. Like they realized there was no way that they're going to be able to complete these projects with the prices where they're at. There's stories of people who had the contractor just completely abandon them. It's just like the stories out there that are starting to be told are things like you would never expect or hear of. So I don't know what to expect over the next couple of months with the prices here, because the lumber future price leads the retail price by quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have right now in the system is a lot of very expensive lumber sitting in the pipeline. So if there's not a lot of sales taking place, like if the home building actually does slow down, which it does appear like in the peripheral that things are starting to slow down. Like foundations get poured, but the houses don't get start. They don't start the framing of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows up on new home starts, but it's not necessarily a home that's getting completed.
Right.
So the foundation might just sit there and not have anything happening to it. And from what I understand, this is starting to be the case on a lot of these projects out there. So if the lumber sales slow down, then it's going to take ever longer for the retail price to come down, even if the futures come down to, a rock bottom price where it would be like, back to something normal, like 300 per thousand. You still may see all the studs out there, sitting at, 8, 10, $12 a piece, as that's how much, everybody has paid for this lumber as it sits in the pipeline. So, what you're going to hear is everybody screaming greed and manipulation and all the other stuff that you're hearing right now, but it's really not that. It's just a lag in timing and filling of the supply chain. It's a lot of like there's a lot of explainable reasons for the rise of lumber prices, but it's difficult to try and explain it all out inside of like, just a single story, because it goes back, years. I mean, if you go back and watch my videos, I was talking about lumber
Mm-hmm.
every week for the last 3 years. And I mean, I got stories talking about China's whether quit buying logs from us. So the log prices pretty much stayed put where the lumber prices went skyrocketing, right? So immediately people are screaming manipulation right there, or greed, saying that if the loggers were making as much as the lumber mills were, then things would make sense, but the loggers aren't making any more money. Well, yeah, it's because a huge portion of our export stopped going to China. They turned around and started buying all that stuff from Russia, and Russia became the number one exporter of forestry products, where
That's
it used to
correct.
be Canada. So, there was this huge global flip of forestry products that had taken place, and nobody really wants to talk about that.
Well, logistically, Russia is a lot closer to China,
Mhm.
of course, and they share a landmass, so I could see them kind of doing that, China boycotted Australia, but China's been, how do you say, sanctioning Australia to death, and now China's getting their coal from Mongolia, right? So, like, things shift, and you get shifting, what do you call it? Shifting economic patterns when it comes to that kind of stuff, when
Yeah,
trade lines start getting disrupted, right?
that's
So,
it. So that's
Amerifornia,
also.
Amerifornia.
Oh,
My prediction of Amerifornia. It's coming. It's coming. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing Texas turning into Texifornia, Florifornia,
mhm.
New Mexifornia. I'm seeing it, and prices are showing that, signaling
Yeah.
that
I mean, well,
America is turning into California.
yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I was really excited about, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but like right when the pandemic started to kick in, I started to seeing the real estate prices going down. I'm thinking, okay, it might be my opportunity to get in. And now I am just so frustrated looking at real estate, because I'm renting a house. I want a farm. I want my property, to live on. And I just get so frustrated when I look at the homes out there for sale, and when I listen to the stories about people bidding $50,000 over asking price and not even coming close to getting it. It's just like, I to be honest with you, man, I just quit even looking.
Yeah. Uh, Remember, so what's happening? This rare phenomena, or this bizarre phenomena that's happening with you guys, that started actually in 2010 in Canada. We've never seen a correction. Now, I don't know if you saw my our Mike in the Night or the last week's show. There's a $9.8 million bungalow, 3 bedroom, 2 bath in Vancouver for $9.8 million, and it's not a joke, and it's not satire.
Man, how does like
Yep.
$9.8 million? Like,
And
I
if you
just
see
have
the
heard.
house, this is not Shaquille O'Neal's house. This is not a plantation. This is not an airport strip. I'm talking just a house.
Right.
And it's if you go to the community section on our, I'm going to put it up so people could see what I'm talking about here, so we're on the same page here. So when people, so guys, this is Uneducated Economist on last second. I just decided to say, I haven't talked to Simon in a bit. I hope he's okay. And I was going to message you the other day to say hi, and then I got busy, and I got you now. So I'm going to go under community real quick. So guys at home watching live, and people listening to us, unfortunately, we get a lot of we get re-uploaded to other platforms. So and a lot of them are just audio. Let me get to that house. Where's that house, guys? If you guys remember where I put that house. $9.8 million, and the house looks like, here it is. This is not satire, guys. This is actually listed on MLS. So here it is, guys. Realtor.ca. Let me go to full screen here. $9.8 million, 3-bedroom, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and the house I think was built just after World War I.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I mean, and I hear stories like this, and when I think about like how an economy is supposed to operate, and if you're going to have a place to live and you are dumping like 100% of somebody's income into just trying to buy a house, the economy is not going to function forever doing that.
it can't.
I mean, it can't. It just like,
Well, the average in the province I'm in, okay, what's going to happen to you guys in the future? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to see 50,000, 100, 200,000 over asking, and then what's going to happen is America will start doing like Joe Biden will probably introduce first-time home buyer grants again, because the average upper average wage earner can't even get into their own markets they were born and raised in. And then what's going to happen, so we're on the timeline right now, it would be 2015, 2016 in Canada. And then America in about 2 years will introduce a foreign buyer's tax. And that's not going to work, because people are going to leave those cities and move to other cities in America, and pushing up the price of those cities. Now, hold on. And then they're going to start, like in Canada, what they did. And then now it's getting to a point where in the state of Oregon, they're going to have a really tough time finding born and raised Oregonians who are born and raised, educated, to afford to buy in their own market, and they won't be able to get locals in their own market ever again. Just like in the province of British Columbia, people born and raised in Vancouver and educated in the whole 9 yards can't even buy within a 100-mile radius, and if they have a low 6-figure income.
Yeah, that's I can see that really taking place. Like, I mean, I just think of like my own condition. I've got myself out of debt. I have an average job. My wife has an average job. We live, very much within our means. And to try and even just like consider buying a house would take so much out of us that it's like something I don't even consider. Now with the YouTube, money coming in, it gives me like this possibility of actually owning a home. But, I look at the market and it's just so scary to even think about it. I don't even try. But some of the things that you're saying, it just, I mean, if those things were to take place here, what do you think? Is now a time to buy a house or not?
I think Amerifornia is real.
I mean,
I think Amerifornia is real, and I think because you are already in a blue state, I would be very concerned, because what's happening is Oregonians, Portlanders, were leaving back at the tail end of 2018, because it already passed the 4.5 times the average income back in 2018 for your housing market in Portland. So that was you started seeing people go to South Dakota, Nevada, Reno, and New Mexico from your state in 2018, because it already it reached a tipping point already. For you guys. Now, what's happened since you would have thought you would have seen a correction with the pandemic, right? But it wasn't a pandemic, because if it was a pandemic, you would know it was a pandemic, because half the people around you would be dead.
That's right. Yeah.
And
that's exactly right.
Webster's dictionary, a pandemic consists of 26% death rate, and that's not happening. So now, where do we go from here? Amerifornia is totally real. I don't want to tell you, Simon, to go ahead and buy a property, and then, but I wouldn't be wrong telling you to buy now, because I'll tell you why. Because you're going to buy and live in your house. You're not buying your house to make money off it. So you want to, raise your family. You want your farm. You're buying it for different reasons. You're not buying it for financial reasons. Right?
Yep.
That's number one.
Well, Absolutely.
But Amerifornia is real. You're going to see Texifornia real soon. And I have emails. Look, I don't get a lot of traffic on my channel, but I get so many emails from people from South Dakota, South Carolina, Florida. Mike, the housing, you were right. You were right. When Biden was selected for presidency, you were right. Housing is going nuts. You know why? It's because you guys were 4 years behind the money laundering that we had happening in Canada. The enormous amount of money that's been flooded out of mainland China into Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. Everybody internationally, like the big leaders, hated Donald Trump. So a lot of the people, the students and all those people didn't want to go to America. So they went to Canada. They ruined us. So they ruined Canada. So now what's going to happen with Amerifornia is now that they have a president that, like, I guess the world likes now, it's going to bring in more students, more money, and America will be on the bidding board to compete for wealthy investors as the capital flight starts to run out. America wants to jump in and get as many people as possible, bringing in their capita.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. I haven't really been paying attention to a whole lot what's going on with the Canadian banking system, but I was reading articles about how the tightening of the monetary policy seemed to be moving along. I was just wondering if you're experiencing any of that, and if there was anything happening with that,
You
money
know,
tightening. That.
the Canadian banking system is now starting to admit that we're seeing fractures in the system. They're
Hmm.
starting now to admit that we have a housing problem. They're starting to admit that we have a lot of bank fraud that has been committed, and that's at the bottom with the lenders and underwriters. So they're starting to admit now that we're seeing fractures. Now, what Australia did back in 2017 is they got a Royal Commission. And the Royal Commission were a bunch of auditors that went in and they started auditing the banks in Australia. Simon, they only scratched the surface, okay? We're
Hmm.
talking about a stack of files going up to your waist. They only went through the first 2 files. The amount of garbage and stuff they were doing and the amount of crime that took place was it's unimaginable that a bank would do that to people. And they just went for, let's say, out of 100 files, they only went through 2. That's how much garbage they found on these banks. And a
Like
lot of people
giving,
stepped
like
down.
issuing out loans to people who probably couldn't afford them on houses that were far too expensive or something like that.
That's correct. Remember, Sydney, Australia,
Yep.
you have to sell your left kidney if you want to look at a house. Never mind buy one, right? So,
Yeah.
again, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United Kingdom are already Amerifornia. We are already California here, right?
Yeah, to be honest with you, man, when I hear this stuff, it just seems like more about the idea that I have there. Everybody's getting set up so that they can just switch up soul over to
Say that
different.
again. Your phone went out for a whole second, 3 seconds
Oh,
there. You said,
s-
when I think of this idea, it makes me
yeah.
or
Well, yeah, when I think about like, what's happening here with what you're saying, taking place in Canada, taking place in Australia or in Australia,
Mhm.
and what's going to happen here, in the United States as well, it leads me to believe I have I've been thinking about this quite a bit ever since like the Federal Reserve has come out saying that they are going to issue this central bank digital currency at some point in the future. There's a problem with it. They can't issue a central bank digital currency. The Congress, the way that the laws are written, the Federal Reserve is not it's not in their charter to be able to issue currency directly into somebody's pocket. It's basically illegal for them to do it. That's why they route these, stimulus through the Treasury and they don't issue them straight from the Federal Reserve.
Right.
So there's going to have to take a serious event to get Congress to switch the laws. And in order to do that, there's going to have to be a bunch of people who are screaming at the screaming at Congress to change the way things are. And in order for that to happen, there's going to be a lot of pain. And that's the way I refer to it as is pain. And that's when people are starting to lose everything they have. And if you can think about like, everybody's value, everything that they own is tied up into that house and they put everything into it. And all of a sudden that house starts losing value like you wouldn't believe. They will scream at Congress to change the laws to make those stimulus work. I just feel like all this is a big setup to institute that central bank digital currency and get rid of cash, go cashless society.
That's a very incredibly spot on prediction. This is probably one of the best spot on predictions I've ever had on the show. And that right there, my friend, is I've yeah. I
Yeah,
totally
well,
agree with you. I've
you know,
never thought of it
I
that way, But the
You
way
know,
you
dude,
just put it, yeah,
I know you. I mean, when I listen to you talk about the real estate market, man, I am just amazed on how much you can take in. Like, it just blows me away. Like, I look at the real estate market, I get a touch of it. I feel, I talk to a few people about it. It just amazes me. I look into what the Federal Reserve is doing. Like, I am trying to think like the Federal Reserve thinks, and it's not easy to do because the banking system is so complicated. But when you find little tickets, little nuggets of information that you've read 5 years ago, and all of a sudden here they are in full swing, you know, you know something's up, man. And it's what's going to happen. Like, they can't issue the central bank digital currency. They can't do it. Like, other nations can do it, but not the United States. But if there was a crisis, yeah, they would.
hmm. So,
So,
but there's two acts in place that are preventing
mm,
them from uh, direct deposits to people,
yeah.
right? I'm not sure what the
Well,
two acts
yeah.
are. There's two acts like that are.
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, the Federal Reserve, I mean, the way they refer to it as is their liabilities, and if they were to make their liabilities legal tender, so they can't really do that. Like, when the Federal Reserve buys treasuries, they don't buy them directly through the government. They buy
That's
them through the
correct.
secondary, primary dealers, right? So the idea is that the Federal Reserve isn't directly monetizing the debt, and it's the Treasury and all those guys. They're the ones who are in charge of the debt, so to speak. So when the Federal Reserve, if they were to issue liabilities directly to the people, it would pretty much be bypassing all the Treasury and everything else that
That's correct.
they're involved with.
That's
This was
correct.
something that Congress had established to say, no, we're going to have some sort of control over
Yeah,
this. So basic,
Lord Humongous just said in the comments there are legal tender laws that were put in place to
yep,
make the currency legal tender because it had to go through a specific, like you're saying, a
yep,
specific
that's
route.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so that's where it would have to change. And now, I Congress sometimes passes laws very easily, and that I'm surprised they happen. But for the most part, trying to get Congress to do anything is almost impossible. So, this is going to take, like I said, it's going to take a serious effort to make that happen. So, but they're working on it. They're making it. They're gearing up for it. So it's just a matter of time.
now, okay, let's put the last piece in the puzzle.
Sure.
Issuing a digital currency now. Hey, I think we should go towards negative rates now, so nobody loses their stuff. Now you
That's right.
can't take your money out of your bank. It's in a digital format. It's in a
That's right.
digital wallet. What happens then?
Right. And see, now it's not going to be that easy for the Federal Reserve to do because people are going to push back against it. Right. Now, the central bank digital currency, the whole idea behind it is that it's as good as cash. And if they were to immediately start putting limitations on it, on who gets it, on what they do with it, then people would be like, no way, I ain't using it. So they ultimately are going to introduce this in a way, and they like nobody's going to even notice it any different. It's going to be like as if they were using their debit card or using anything else, and they'll be able to get cash out just as easily as anything else. But as
Hmm.
time goes on, the pressure begins, right? And what they will do is instead of taking cash out, what they'll do is they'll charge you to take cash out or to deposit cash. And whatever that charge is will be the same amount of negative interest rate that they'll have on the deposit that you carry. So if you have a central bank digital currency inside the bank, then it's going to have a negative interest rate attached to it. If you try to pull it out in cash, they're going to charge you a fee that equals that negative interest rate. So pulling out the cash will be just as burdensome. And that's the way that they're going to pull cash out of the system, because people will just eventually get to the point that they're just like, man, this cash is just annoying because it's more of a hassle to use it. You don't gain anything from having it. And if you keep it inside of the central bank digital currency, they'll give you rewards like, who knows, like bonuses and stuff, or you won't lose it if you spend it at certain places or something like that. Who knows what they'll do with the currencies? I'm just making stuff up at this
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, that's fine. Some of the stuff we make up, obviously, some of it starts to become truth and reality, and that's the scary part. And a lot of the stuff we talk about on here, it's we wish most of this stuff wasn't happening, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
lost for words at what's happening. I just, we do Mike in the Night on Saturday nights. We get more conspiratorial, and we get what you call it. messages, and we get a lot of links, news links from other places. Some countries look like there's no pandemic going on, there's nothing, and some countries it looks like it's the end of the world. And
Mm.
it's almost like there's major moving parts at play right now, and I think all the big players are playing now. And to what what's the end game? Is it total control? Is it total dominance? Is it what they want to know what we're thinking before we do? Like, what's the deal? Are they going to automatically order underwear for me on Amazon because they know my waist size? Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. It can be like very controlling. Like a lot of people have this big fear. You know me, man. I don't really get scared of anything, and I don't live in fear. And so, um, like the idea, like when somebody tells me they say that you're going to own nothing and be happy, and I'm thinking, dude, I already own nothing. I mean, so promise me a good time. I'm looking forward to the days that I don't have to own anything and I get transferred all over the place. I don't know, things are taken care of for me. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like I'm looking forward to the technologies and the innovations and the conveniences that come from all that stuff. I embrace all the technologies and the things that are happening. I mean, it's betterment for your life and for society. Now, it does have a very controlling and like intrusive nature to it, as messages that you send and things that you do are recorded and watched and scrutinized and judged. I mean, it's just like that whole thing is very uncomfortable to think about and feel, but ultimately it's happening, and most people right now don't even realize it, even though they say that they care. you know I just it's just kind of the way I see things now. I personally, all my messages that I share with my family are encrypted, right? I do encrypted messaging when I talk to my family. When we share grocery list, when we talk about what we're doing in the day, I encrypt all that stuff, because some things are just meant to be private, and your private conversation with people is shouldn't be something that is just accessible to anybody out there.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my Google searches, as far as like the stuff that I put out there on YouTube or what, I don't care. I'm out there. It's too late to try and hide.
Yeah, I mean, they'll come and find you even if you weren't on YouTube, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, and that's what I found when I talked to a guy about this. I was just like, because I told him, I was like, man, I turned all my stuff off. I hide. I use encryption. He was just like, dude, you're going right to the top of the list. And I was like, what are you talking about? He says, you got to give them the information. If you don't give them the information, they're going to come looking for it. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's so brilliant to think about. Now, he told me, I wish I remember the name of this program, but apparently he runs a program on his computer that does a blanket shot of internet searches all day long. So it'll pick up articles from opera to cooking to, anything. It was just blanket random Google searches. And I thought, man, that's brilliant. So they don't really know what his Google searches are really like, because there's just so many of them constantly going through his computer. So I thought that was kind of a funny way to look at things. He's like, yeah, so that's how I hide from them. So he
Mm.
just gives them more information than they know what to do with.
Yep. Well, it's so good to have you on last second like this.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
And guys, this is Uneducated Economist. You're gonna want to subscribe to his channel, please. If you want to go over, please, right now and subscribe. I think most of my subscribers are already subscribed to you already. So if you're down under in Australia and you're watching this on replay, or if you're in the UK and you're watching this in England, I know it's really early in the morning in the UK right now, but go ahead and please subscribe to Uneducated Economist. He's been coming on. He's the 6th, 7th time on the show, and he's a wealth of knowledge and information when it comes to bonds, housing, whatever, anything and everything.
Yeah.
Banks, manipulation, the whole, we're getting screwed videos. They're good. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I try to look at things a little differently than most people do. I try to bring in as much perspective as I can, and then spit it out there for people to try and understand. I started studying this stuff a long time ago. Back in 2007, 2008, when the great financial crisis started kicking in, and I was losing everything I had. I was like, what in the world is going on? And I just started researching the Federal Reserve, started, what the hell is mortgage-backed securities? What's credit default swaps? And I just never stopped Googling and reading and listening and just keep researching every day. I mean, it's turned into an obsession. I do it morning, noon, and night. I'm constantly doing research, looking into different articles and trying to get in the understanding. So when I read some articles, sometimes I will, take the information and I will, contradict it, or I will, try to come up with like, hey, have you thought about it from this kind of angle? Which usually is, it may or may not be right, but it usually gets people thinking, and that's kind of the whole point of the channel.
Simon, we do have a small Discord channel, a smart Discord group here, and people post links to the stuff you read and stuff. If you're ever on our Discord, check us out. It's hashtag Mike in the Night. And if you ever have Discord, you could always post some of the links that you do read or things that you want people to see on our Discord. And we get about a post every other minute here. So it's people posting all kinds of stuff on here. And it's really good. We got Fringe Files here from the Fringe Files channel, the Silver Stackers channel. And a couple of other folks on here posting stuff from time to time to keep us updated on, I guess, what's happening in their neck of the woods,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, dude, it's been an absolute blast. I've already taken 40 minutes of your time.
Wow, man, that went quick.
We always talk. That's why we gotta have, once they reopen this crap, maybe you want to bring up the family to Canada for a bit, or maybe if I'm allowed to cross your border, I might go down and spend a couple of hours with you on a day off, on a day you have off,
Oh man, that would be awesome.
Yeah, maybe you could take me to some of the water holes in the area. Maybe maybe go shoot some golf or something. I don't know, man. Or just, you could take me where they filmed the Goonies.
Yeah, you bet, man. That's all over the place around here. Shit.
Yeah, you could take me there. I would like to. That's a movie I still watch with my kids today. So,
right on, man.
All right, Uneducated Economist Simon, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight, and God bless you. Okay.
Hey, anytime, Mike. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, that is Uneducated Economist. Came on the show. Really informative. He's got his own YouTube channel. I think he's pushing 72K subscribers. Yeah, he's going to be at 100K subs. He's going to get his golden button. I would say at the rate he's growing right now in shares and reach, the bigger you get, the bigger you grow, and the faster your channel starts to network through the cyberspace and stuff like that. So this is his latest video here. Taper Talk until next crisis, lunchtime babbling with Uneducated Economist. So here it is, guys. I'm going to give you the link. Let me go back to his channel. So there it is, Uneducated Economist. He has a Patreon account if you guys want to go on there. He's got his, he's got Instagram. I'm going to follow him. I didn't know he had, I'm going to post it here on our Discord. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to him, and I'm going to put it here. Yep, he's great, Mike Banks. Go ahead and follow him, and let him know you're here from the Mike Martin's channel. And he's got a lot of good videos. He really talks the talk. He really understands all the moving parts when it comes to what's happening in this international global economic crisis we are in right now. Okay, Lenny Poo has some information about mortgages. I want to get her, see if she could come on. She said she's writing an offer at the moment, so... Okay, 6:20. That's what she messaged me. It is 6:53. So I'll give her a little bit of time. She has some information to give on the updates of what's happening in mortgage lending. Like what's happening with the mortgage lending regulations that are happening in Canada. They're rolling out new regulations, so that's going to be something we need to look at. So here we go. Fed alert, risks of higher inflation. So we got Uneducated Economist to weigh in on that topic. Here we go. Federal Reserve holds interest rates steady, raises expectations for rising inflation. So obviously we're going to start to see inflation start to creep out of control. So they are going to raise it. They're looking at raising it twice in 2023. So all they're doing is kicking the can down the road. And then we got Toronto condo prices have risen by 44% since 2017's housing peak. Why did housing raise in 2017? And it's actually a very interesting story. Housing raised in 2017 because in the tail end of 2016, Vancouver put in a foreign buyer's tax. And that basically, I'll look it up on the channel here so you guys could see it. I have it on. You search across our YouTube channel, guys. You'd be surprised what you would find on our channel. The amount of information that we have been putting out there as a, we're a group here. We are here together, and the amount of information we have been pumping out there. Let me see if I could find it across the channel. Skip Vancouver. I think let me see if I could find it here. If I could find the article here. It's kind of an important one where investors skip Vancouver because of the foreign buyer's tax, and they go to Seattle and Toronto, and those two housing markets got destroyed. Okay, so let's see if we have I think if I type in Seattle here and across the channel. Okay, here it is. Here are some of the videos I put up here. So these are kind of important, actually. Seattle needs more Chinese. Up until a year ago, they were Seattle markets were starting to cool because there was a lack of foreign investing. Seattle's disappearing middle class. I'm just trying to see which videos I did here. Chinese Seattle housing crisis. Chinese buying dries up. Affordability mass exodus in Seattle. That's from 2 years ago. King County housing collapse. I was wrong about that, of course, because investors fleeing to Toronto and Seattle. Right here, condo crash. Right there. Investors fleeing to Toronto and Seattle 4 years ago. So that was 2016. And YouTube is always wrong with their timing on these videos. I don't know why. Seattle, trends in the open land. So I'm just trying to see what's happening. So, okay, I just have there. Tsunami, 4 years ago. Yes, the wave has hit. Hope you bought last year. Chinese money is leaving Vancouver and heading for Seattle and Toronto. Right here. Everyone in the middle class or working poor will be wiped out. So there it is. There's the tsunami. Housing wave tsunami from 4 years ago right there, guys, where wealthy investors are leaving. And wow, look at this one from 3 years ago. Housing market on fire. Wow, there's all kinds of information on this channel. I really hope YouTube doesn't take down my channel because there's just so much work I've put in as an individual.